Now in this tutorial we're going to continue from where we stop in the development of the sales record table model class. Now what we're going to do now is to define a constructor for this class, and we will have to define the constructor to match with the way this class is supposed to work. Recall that this class is supposed to serve as the data object, or the object that holds all the data for the rows that we're gonna have in the mainframe, the JTable that is in the mainframe. So we're supposed to define a constructor that will take in data and then convert those data into rows that will be stored in the JTable that is in the mainframe. So if you can recall, we have this class salesDAO, and salesDAO has a method called getSalesRecords. The getSalesRecords method is going to return a list of sales record. So we can use this information to our advantage in the building of the sales record table model. So if we are creating a constructor for the sales record table model, which is definitely going to be public, and it's going to be the name of the sales record table model, because the constructor has to be the name of the class. So we can create a constructor that will take as its argument a list of sales records. Let's just go over here and copy the data type, because that's what we want, a list of generic list of sales records. So it should take as its argument a list of sales record objects. That will make us to import java.util.list, and let's call the variable of this list, the variable name of this list, to be sales records, and that's it with the constructor. Now the constructor, that's it with the constructor's declaration. But we need to call the superclasses constructor, because the superclasses constructor is abstract and it requires some arguments too. So if you recall, okay, I already promised not to go into much details of this, so just follow up what we're going to do here in the sales record table model and you'll be fine. So I'm going to simply call the superclasses constructor by saying super, and then we will have to pass in the data type that we are going to have for our sales records. Okay, so here I'm going to specify array list, because the data type implementation of the list interface in this case is going to be an array list. Actually, it's going to be an array list because what we had here when we were generating this list of sales records from this getSalesRecords method was actually an array list that was, instantiated as an instance of a list interface object. So I hope you understand it. So we're simply gonna declare an array list over here, an array list.class, to specify the data type class that we're gonna tell the superclass that we are expecting array list class objects for our data. So you can see that that went well, and so now we have declared the first line in our constructor, but there are more codes that we will have to write in that constructor. Now let's do something about the overridden method, because we need to return an object when we are calling the getValueAt method. And the getValueAt method is going to be used to retrieve a single value that is inside a cell. Like, for example, this is a cell. Okay, this very box here is a cell, not the row. The cell is a box that is inside the column and a particular row. So this is a cell, and you can see that the cell is editable. I just type some gibberish inside it. So if we want to get data from a particular cell in using this table model, we can use the get value at method. That was why it is a must that we have to override this method, so that we can configure it to return data for a particular cell. And in order to get the data from for that particular cell that we want to get data from, we need to specify the row. Like this is a particular row. Okay, let's say this is row 0, row 1, and row 2. Okay, then we need to also specify a column. So let's say this is column 0, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So we can say row 2, column 0. Okay, if this cell that we want to identify and get data from, then we can say row 2, column 0, 1, 2. So row 2, column 2 will give us the information that is inside this particular cell that just type something in. So so I hope you understand what we are saying. So this method simply gives us an object that represents the information at a particular row index and a particular column index. That's what this method is all about. So how do we get that information? Okay, we can get the information by saying object, because actually this method is going to return an object. So we can get it by saying object. Let's call this obj. It's going to be equal to this dot data dot get the value. The data is going to hold arrays of objects, and like I told you before, each array of objects is going to represent a row. So when we specify the row index here, it's going to give us an array of objects from the array list, and we can now get an array of objects by this is supposed to be an array of objects. Let's call this row. So we can get a row from there, and then in order to get a column, we need to now specify an object. Okay, let's call this obj to be equal to row dot get we have to specify the column index, and then we can now return the object. Okay, so that's it. I hope you understand the procedure. On the other hand, I can also simplify this code in one line, the whole process of getting the row, now getting the data from the column index of that row, and then returning the object. So we can rewrite this method in another way. Let me show you another way I can do this real quick. I can say this dot data dot get, then I specify the row index over there, and then this data dot get is going to give us an array of object. So I can typecast that to the array of object, and then since it's an array of object, I can get a column index out of that, and looks like I have an error somewhere. Oops. Okay, we are having an error because we already have a return statement. So if we comment that out, okay, so that's the same thing. Okay, this single line of code can replace these 3 lines of code. That's just what I wanted to represent to you. So but if you don't understand what or how this line of code represents these 3 lines of code, if it's becoming quite complicated for you, can still go ahead and rewind this video back and use the 3 lines of code if you are comfortable with that one. Alright, so so that's it with overriding this get value at method. Alright, so there are lots of methods that we're gonna write in this class. So I'll like us to take some short videos and identify those methods, so that we do not take a long video to write all those methods, because most of them are quite complicated, so it's gonna need some explanation from me. So let's stop there for now. In the next video we will see some other method that we can write to complement this sales record table model class. So I hope you found this informative. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to check our website, and I'll see you on the next video.